Do you expect Kyle to make the trip to Charlotte?
I have not talked to Kyle. I'll see what he does today, and then I'll talk to our training staff to see if it's more conducive for him to stay or go. And that's the whole premise, to see where it's best to get his rehab going forward, either stand here or go on.
You try to treat every opponent the same, I know, but division opponents, you play them 4 times a year. So is there more of an emphasis on a team that you play 4 times in a season?
Well, I just think when you're talking about your division, and I think those things matter. I think it makes the game a little different, the feel of it, because guys are in your division.
Is the division a little more wide open now that Miami's, they lost that LeBron guy?
I'm not sure about that. The other 4 teams all made the playoffs, and so those guys are more experienced, and they've tasted the playoffs, and so I'm quite sure they want to get back as well.
How's Devin been progressing?
Good. He's still going through his rehab. He hasn't been on the floor or anything. He can't shoot or anything of that nature, so I've just been talking to him on the rehab table.
Jacque, how impressed are you with Tobias's focus of trying to be a more complete player? I mean, that's something that you challenged him with in the offseason, is to do more than just score, and he's increased his three-point shooting dramatically. He's getting a couple assists a game. Are you impressed with the way he's delivered on what you tried to get him to do?
Yeah, he's trying to just be a better player overall. And a lot of times when we talk about a guy getting better, everyone lends towards the offensive end of the floor. Mm-hmm. And I think defensively he's taken some strides in the different matchups that he's had throughout the course of the season already. I think he's taking pride on both ends of the floor, and so I've been pleased to see that from him.
Looking at the film from last night, Willie was 2 for 10, but how pleased were you with the open looks that he had?
You must have watched the film too, huh? Mm-hmm. I think we got some good looks last night. Jordan Farmer goes 3 for 3. Matt Barnes hits those 2 early ones, and so overall I thought Willie's looks were good. I thought Mo had some good looks as well, and so sometimes that's part of it, but you got to find other ways to try to help yourself.
How much more aggressive is Mo this year compared to his first 2 years, where he was really trying to gain maybe a bit of a foothold in the league?
I think you got to remember Mo played in a zone at St. John's for 1 year, and he was playing center sometimes. He might have been the tallest guy on the team out on the floor sometimes. So there was a extreme makeover for him, and just his comfort level of being on the perimeter, of handling the basketball. And, he's still growing into being comfortable on the floor, but I definitely feel that he has made some strides.
Yeah, he's about as athletic as any of your guys. How can he harness that a little bit more?
Again, I like to point to what are my strengths, and I think that points to, if I am one of the most athletic guys, then I probably should be one of the first ones down the floor every single time. If I am an athletic guy, then I probably should be aiding my bigs and help rebound the basketball. If I am an athletic guy, then I probably, when the ball comes to me, I probably can put it on the ground and get by the guy that's guarding me. So all those things lend towards athleticism.
Speaking of Willie Green, Doc said he'd make a tremendous coach one day. Probably the same thing that was said to you during your career. Could you envision Willie Green as a coach one day?
If he wants to drink coffee and coach guys and talk to the media, travel, be away from his family, eat bad on the road, then he'd make a good coach.
He already drinks the coffee.
Check.
And the media.
That's 2 checks.
Yeah.
Going in the right direction.
Or the wrong direction, depending on perspective.
Well, look who's here.
Hey, Coach.
How you doing?
Doing all right.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
With Charlotte, does it all start with Al Jefferson's pump fakes? I mean, he's got every pump fake in the book. Is it about staying down on him and not fouling?
Yes, Jefferson in the post, and then Kimba's ability to create, pick and rolls, to get in the paint, make big shots for them. But the center of what they do is Al in the post, and he's still one of the premier post players in the league.
Vooch, there were a couple years ago, he really struggled. That first time we went to Utah, he did on every fake. And since then, it seems like he's a fast learner. His IQ has taught himself to stay down on that fake.
And that's a great example of, young guys not knowing the league. Mm-hmm. You got to see that pump fake a few times to understand the, dynamic of it and how you got to stay down and how impressive it is. And so that only comes from playing against it and being on the floor.
Talk about Al and Kemba. Lance Stevenson's the guy that could maybe go for 25 points or go for 5 points. How do you game plan for a wild card of sorts like that?
You're just solid in your approach. There are going to be some shots that you're going to have to live with if they're contested and your defense is solid. But again, we want to keep those guys in front of us. And he's a guy that can, like you said, get it going. But there'll be some shots that our defense, we're okay giving up as long as they're contested.
Everyone good?